I'm running a little late, so we're going to do something a little different. I saw something yesterday during the RFK Jr. hearings. For those of you that don't know, I'm a big fan of RFK Jr. He says some wild shit that I don't agree with. Being completely anti-vax, I'm not completely anti-vax. I'm a big proponent against. I don't do the flu shot and I don't do the COVID vax. Because why? It doesn't do anything. I'm sorry. If you can still get it and it doesn't lessen it or any of that other stuff, there's really no point in getting it. If it doesn't keep you from giving it to other people, then it doesn't do anything. So, and yes, I'm aware Trump was the one that put it out originally. I don't care. Everyone was against it. Like all the Republicans were for the vaccine when Trump put it out, and all the Democrats were against it when Trump put it out during his presidency. And then Biden got into office, and everybody flipped. And then all the Democrats were for the vaccine, and everyone else was against it. I've been against it since day one. The only time I was for it when people were talking about giving people $1,000 for every shot, and I was like, "Hey, I'm broke. You've convinced me. You've convinced me. I'm willing to put up my laurels for a solid stack of cash." But I digress. Here we go. I'm going to jump into this. And today, we're fighting Mr. Bennett, okay?
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attention. In June,
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attention, okay?
you fired every member of the well-qualified panel that was charged with recommending vaccines to the CDC. No one in your job has ever fired every committee member all at once. That month, you told the American people that you were, quote, going to bring great people onto the ACIP panel, not anti-vaxxers. Are you aware that one of the people you put on the panel, Dr. Robert Malone, claimed that the commonly used mRNA vaccine, quote, causes a form of AIDS and can damage children's, quote, brains, their heart, their immune system, and their ability to have children in the future? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
And Dr. Malone is one of the inventors.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Were you aware that he had that view when you appointed him to this panel?
Dr. Malone.
See, and one thing I don't like is when they ask very misleading, pointed questions. And yes, I am tired of streaming to zero. Thank you for being the 176th person. 2 in a row. 2 of you right in a row for the same website. No, I very much appreciate your presence here. But no, thank you.
Malone is one of the inventors. As I said, Dr. Malone is one of the inventors of the mRNA.
Oh, yeah. They ask you a very specific question, and they'll throw in a bunch of details without context, and they only want a yes or no. I don't agree with this when any politician does it. The left does this, the right does this. They're trying to get talking points. They know that these things are televised, and again, both sides do this, and it's awful. Sometimes hilarious if it's pointed out, but unfortunately, RFK Jr. sounds like Heath Ledger's Joker face fucked a jibba jabber toy from the '90s. So
that's fine. That's not
so he knows a lot more
that
about
statement, Mr. Chairman. That statement is not true that Dr. Malone made. Just as it wasn't true when you wrote that, quote, African AIDS is entirely different from Western AIDS. Are you aware that another one of these new members, Dr. Levy, wrote that, quote, evidence is mounting and indisputable that mRNA vaccines cause serious harm, including death, especially among young people? Yes or no? Are you aware that he said that?
Yes or no?
I wasn't aware he said it, but I agree with it.
You agree with it? It's not true. It wasn't true when he said it. It is not true when you said it.
Look, I agree that it definitely, more than likely, doesn't cause a form of AIDS. What he probably meant was another autoimmune disease or something else that just completely wipes your immune system, because not vaccines, but some medications and some treatments do that. But no, I don't think that it causes AIDS, but some of the other stuff, quite possibly.
Secretary Kennedy, later this month, your new panel will meet to consider changing vaccine recommendations for American children. In addition to the COVID-19 vaccines, they are set to review recommendations for the hepatitis B vaccine, for measles, for mumps, for rubella and varicella vaccine, and the RSV vaccine. These are common back-to-school vaccinations.
Okay, I'm not sure why hepatitis B and C vaccines are being kicked out to school kids, but at the same time, the other ones, I can definitely see why people would be upset that he's at least thought about the other ones. But let's see what the Jibba Jabber has to say.
For children all over the industrialized world.
All over the industrialized
If you
world.
change that, you owe parents in Colorado and across the country the benefit of some transparency.
In Colorado specifically.
If your panel recommends changing the vaccine schedule for children, do you anticipate that fewer children will receive these common vaccinations, yes or no?
What I would say, Senator,
the obvious answer is yes. Should parents and schools of Colorado be prepared?
Let the man answer the question. I understand it takes him a long time to get a syllable out because of whatever's wrong with his voice, but let the man speak. You're here to ask him questions. You brought him all the way here to ask questions. Let him speak. I understand. It's grating on the ears. Like I said, he sounds ridiculous when he talks, but this is, we have to put forth these things. You can't be ableist, okay? He's got a very serious disability, mostly around his voice. Might have a worm in the brain, okay? That's bad.
For more measles outbreaks as a result of that, Mr. Secretary?
Senator,
how about more mumps outbreaks?
I do not anticipate a change in the MMR vaccine. ACIP is an independent panel. So
well, it's a panel. You just put those folks on. Yeah. Far from what you said. There are people with
put them on, okay?
Ideas that are completely outside the mainstream.
You mean out of the pharmaceutical paradigm?
Let me just say, Mr. Secretary.
Who cares if it's mainstream? Most progressive science is a bit radical, so long as you're not experimenting on humans in the first stage of something, because you have to work up to that for some reason. But no, I the fact that and anyone can admit this, left, right, center, whatever, stuff around the COVID vaccine and COVID lockdowns and all that, it was a bit sketch. No matter what your vision on things. And if you disagree with that, then you're probably still wearing a mask.
Terry, all these vaccines that we're talking about today are free and accessible to parents today in America who have the freedom to be able to make that choice for their children. Will that be true after your handpicked panel makes their judgments about these vaccines?
Finally, a good question.
I think that parents should be free to...
I know you said that before. I do too.
To make their own choices.
So will they be just as free after these?
I assume they will be.
Okay, I will hold you to that, Secretary Kennedy.
Not the word to say, Mr.
Because
Kennedy.
this is not a podcast. It is the American people's health that's on the line here. This is the last thing, by the way, our parents need when their kids are going back to school, is to have the kind of confusion and expense and scarcity that you're creating as a result of your ideology.
They never should have forced vaccines on kids. Not the COVID ones. All the rest of them, when you're a baby and before you go to school, sure, 100%. But the COVID vax, there's kids didn't have a particularly, they weren't particularly susceptible or anything like that. No actual science points to this.
I think it's critical for you to share the evidence that this panel will rely on. Will you give the American people 6 months or 6 weeks in advance the record that they're going to rely on to make these decisions? Will you make it transparent for the American people?
All the evidence is transparent.
Will you make it in advance transparent for the American people so they can comment on it?
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described Senator, moving the Titanic.
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire...
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions.
No, I'm the one who asks questions. You don't ask me shit.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers
and my financial backers
of America who deserve so much better than your leadership.
See, he's just trying to make
conversation.
See, he's not really mad. Most of these politicians could not give a shit. Some of the ones who were just elected in within the last cycle or two. Maybe if it's their first political office, but this gentleman right here, Mr. Bennett, he doesn't give a shit. I've seen him talk on a lot of things. He doesn't care. He just wants his viral moment, and sometimes and doing these things are a gamble. You have to hope that you get the person flustered enough to where they don't slam it right back in your face. Okay, it's like a tennis match. And sometimes you take that hard crack shot and you just knock it over there and you hope that the other person doesn't get it. But sometimes, okay, you put everything into it and you go all the way. You throw your whole body over here, okay? And then they hit it back and you're like, oh, I can't get over there. They hit the ball way over there. And you end up looking like, a stupid ass. Hello.
Is about Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give
them. They can't handle the truth, okay?
In the history of that agency.
And I gotta say, like I said, I got no particular. I love a lot of his stances on stuff. He's a little too anti-vax for my taste, Mr. Kennedy Jr. But he knows his shit on a lot of this. And I do think he came out on top because, again, this dude was grandstanding. That's pretty much all he was doing. And he ended up getting a big old penis right in the face. So let's see, Bennett. And I was trying to find the name of the other guy. Let's tell you what, we'll do this. I know, and yes, I'm pulling up Crowder again. He's the one where I get some of this.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh. So they fired rounds. I don't know if anybody was hurt.
Again, these 6 points in the Wall Street Journal. Well, let me read you the 6 points and see if this is the reason. If this is the reason that people don't trust their institutions, or if the reason that people may continue to mistrust them in growing numbers is because of the response. So these are the 6 points they responded to in protest. To protect from threats. This is written, I guess it's written from RFK, so I'll have to detect and defeat infectious diseases through enhanced respiratory disease surveillance and a biothreat radar powered by cutting-edge molecular tools. I must you villainize us, sir.
We just watched.
To build infrastructure, to strengthen global and domestic systems, to predict, track, and respond to dangerous exposures and outbreaks, to modernize systems.
I didn't hear you. You used a different voice.
To strengthen global and domestic systems, to predict, track, and respond to...
Okay, we'll go through this since he's joking around. Modern system and upgrade laboratories, epidemiology to 21st century threats, build infrastructure, strengthen global domestic systems to predict, track, and respond to dangerous exposures and outbreaks. Okay, we're going to enhance the scientific rigor, apply gold standard science to every recommendation, ensuring America leads the world in safe, effective vaccines and trusted guidance. Okay, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Empower states and communities, return to the original mission of supporting state and local health departments on the front lines of outbreaks. Today, only half of the CDC's budget supports its infectious disease mission. Fewer than 1 in 10 employees are epidemiologists. That is crazy. Like, I understand, and I understand that big organizations like this need support structures. I mean, you have to have. Okay, good morning, Mr. Man, over there on YouTube. Okay, you need your support staff. You need clerical. You need HR for pretty much any kind of business that you have. But for the most part, at the CDC, you need science, and scientists are the ones that bring you the science. Okay. The Biden administration's restructuring failed to solve the problem. It made a priority of health equity while ignoring the central issue. The CDC has strayed from its core mission, which I can agree with. It was overly politicized.
Gerald,
I think Gerald does the better voice. Maybe he should do the rest of them.
I don't. To modernize systems.
Clearly.
Upgrade
data. I just read that.
Doesn't mean that if you replicate it, we'll find out these drugs give you cancer. It means that we should start with what has been considered the gold standard. And he also included, finally, empowering states and communities, return to the original mission of supporting state and local health departments on the front lines of outbreaks. Like the states that were maybe being punished if they decided not to lock down, if the states were maybe being punished because they weren't going along with the guidance that was destroying their states, their population economically. Also, you could argue, as far as health, not just mental health, physical health, because people developed immune deficiencies and they were more prone to other diseases. There have been tremendous health fallouts. We're not just talking about Bill Gates trying to put a microchip in your neck when you're not looking like Dark Angel. We're talking about actual ramifications that we all know to be true. So these are the 6 points.
Surprisingly good show.
The response is, you must go, sir. And then they blame RFK Jr. for the mistrust in the institution. Wow. Must be nice to never be accountable. Also, it talked about too much bureaucracy. I don't know if you know, only one.
And this is another reason. Before RFK Jr. ran for president, because he ran for president before he joined Trump's team. Before RFK Jr. joined Trump's team or even ran for president, he was lauded by the left. He was a hero. Everyone loved him, or at least didn't know about him, or was a big fan. At least as far as politicians go, they were always putting his stuff out there at some of these hearings previously. At least, and they were talking about some of his stuff, I believe, during the first Trump administration. They were talking about some stuff that RFK Jr. was pushing, and you've heard other politicians and even entertainment people, like you've heard like people like Bill Maher and all that bring it up, and now he's hated. People are ripping on his voice, like I do too, but and people are talking about how he's crazy, how he had the worm in the brain. You hear it all the time on late night talk shows. And the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard before she went kamikaze on Kamala Harris in the 2020 election. The 2020 DNC was a joke. The RNC for 2016 was a joke too. But the DNC was completely ridiculous. There were only 2, maybe 3 good candidates because Bernie was still somewhat. He had already bent the knee to Clintons in the DNC, but Tulsi Gabbard was up there and Andrew Yang was up there. Andrew Yang, he's a businessman, he's a politician, but he has a lot of really amazing views, and I hope he comes back around and does something to the effect of what what's the Indian fella's name that was doing Doge with Musk. I hope he does something, comes back and does some kind of political thing, like runs for governor or something, Mr. Andrew Yang. But he might just continue being a businessman and succeed on that front. But I'm just saying, all these people were praised before. All these people, at least on paper, seem to be the exact same. And they were loved, but because they weren't extreme enough, or because they went against the candidate, because we all know Kamala Harris was being very much pushed in the DNC of 2020. It can't be denied. And then thanks to Tulsi Gabbard bringing up her actual work history in California, she went kamikaze on her, and then the whole DNC turned on her, and that's why she's been pushed to the right. You can tell Tulsi Gabbard hates it because they all. The Republicans don't like her either because she's a Democrat. She's a real Democrat. But they tried to say that she's a traitor and all this other stuff just for talking with other world leaders while she was senator. I want to say, if I'm wrong, if she was just a House of Representatives, but I'm pretty sure she was a senator. But I can
see, right? Doctors who are actually treating hundreds of patients, they shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion. It should be the 9 out of 10 CDC employees who are not epidemiologists and not seeing patients.
Yeah. By the way, they were attacking those doctors when getting on a ventilator was almost guaranteed if you had a severe case, and it was a death sentence.
Yeah.
Basically at that point.
Right?
Don't try anything at all outside of the norm.
So
I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for the less.
And that's what they were doing for everybody. They were putting everybody on ventilators if you got to a certain point. But pretty much if you were put on a ventilator, that was a death sentence. Whether or not it was what killed you is arguable. But most of everything since the heavy COVID outbreak shows that being put on a ventilator was pretty much a death sentence.
Lesser educated folks in chat maybe, but what is an epidemiologist?
It's all right, smart ass. Epidemiology.
No, I don't know what I don't know exactly
someone
what
who
that means.
studies infectious diseases.
Okay.
Someone who studies the mutation, transmission, the spreading therein. And they just sort of apply it sometimes as a catch-all where they're held out as an authority when they may not necessarily be an authority. An epidemiologist may not know how to treat someone who is a patient under the care of an actual doctor, a general practitioner. Those people existed. They were actually using what they were observing as effective treatments, and they were shut down and they were silenced. So let me ask you this. The mistrust just seems to be coming from these bureaucrats, right? Well, no. Do you think it's organic when now you see a bunch of protesters out there, including one protester, it's the Clip RFK protest, accusing RFK Jr. personally of killing millions of people?
Drug prices, prior authorization, information blocking.
The committee will come to order.
Wheeler out. The bureaucrats.
There's I didn't see this part.
You can remove that one.
Who has he killed?
A protester wheeled in her wheelchair.
Secretary Kennedy, I
interesting.
notified everyone else in the audience. Comments from the
I'd put my
audiences
brakes on. If I was-
are inappropriate. If there are any further disruptions, the committee will recess until the police can restore order.
Who is he killed? They're treating him like he's RFK Joker. They're treating him like he is a villain out there like, actually, today we're going to have trials. Well, yeah, that's what we should do.
Outbursts will only be accepted from sitting board members.
That's right. Okay.
Only senators up here can have an outburst, okay?
You got to trust the authorities, okay? CNN right now,
I mean, and they're making fun of him, but I will say for everything that Bennett said that showed his ass up there, at least when the protester was saying what he said, that he did stand up for Kennedy. So give people their flowers where they're due. If people do good thing, say, yay, you did good thing. If people do bad thing, you rub their nose in it like it's one of those pet owners that rubs their pet's nose in shit when they poop somewhere they're not supposed to.
They're showing some other talking heads, but I bet you if we go to C-SPAN, we can still go back to the live hearing.
He's done. The hearing's done.
The heering is done?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can bring us the...
There's something so funny about someone being wheeled out.
I know.
And shouting stuff over their shoulder.
It makes it much. You got to lock the wheels or something. I don't know. It makes it harder.
See, exactly.
To stay
you got to lock the wheels.
They can just wheel you out.
Yeah.
But
How
then
much
again,
you want
if
to
you
bet
lock
that
the
that's a
wheels, then
lady
you
who's
risk
an
them
activist,
pushing you
probably
over
some
and falling on your
genderqueer
face, and they
activist
seem
who's
fairly
disabled, and
broken.
you are not listening to the voices of the disabled community.
Yeah. Do we want to hear what these hags on CNN have to say at all?
No.
That's.
I have a description here. They're shaming RFK.
Thousands of people who
Wet market. All those experts are against RFK. So there.
I don't get letters from thousands of people who are not political.
So I don't want to be rude or anything,
this set
but
of changes is going to damage
remember
American
Eraserhead?
healthcare, and
Tell me
particularly these healthcare agencies
if
for
the movie ended
decades.
the picture of
I
healthy.
don't get any letters.
The healthcare industry is struggling right now.
Yeah, maybe you're listening
It's like
to a
say,
selective
just like act like the dad didn't kill the baby.
Yeah, and I will.
This is,
I
he went
will
so
tell you
far.
what,
He ran
Senator,
for
I will put my
Congress.
mailbag against your mailbag. Any day of the week.
Is that his ball sack?
That's what could have been if that movie had gone
My
better.
mailbag?
No, basically, what
the one that just popped in and didn't see that.
Yeah, he was making, and this is the guy he went on afterwards to say, you've been in that seat, what, 20, 25 years, and you haven't done anything? So basically, he was trying to make the point, like, all these experts are writing in letters, they're telling us that you're wrong, all the doctors. He goes, I got tons of doctors telling me.
Not the baby from Eraserhead, but most politicians don't do anything. They get in, and they want, some of them just want to, like, their legacies or something, not unlike, the Kennedys, especially Teddy. We all know Teddy. But a lot of senators either want to get in there because they know it's a steady job that if they can con their constituents into voting them for more than 3 terms, you're pretty much in there for life, unless you do something absolutely horrendous to where they yeet you from your seat. But let's be honest, if you're in there for more than 2 or 3 terms and you've been elected that many times you're pretty much in there for life. There should be term limits. I don't care what anyone says. I know this is kind of a side tangent, but one, you shouldn't be allowed in any House of Congress past a certain age. I would say the max age should be at least 75, maybe 70. If you've made it that far yet, and you haven't become president, people haven't pushed for that yet, no, but send them to a very nice retirement home near the vineyard or some shit. But there should be term limits. It should be like hold on, let me Google stuff. I don't care that much for Senate term length. I think it's the same as president, right? The Senate term is 6 years. Okay. So while House of Representatives is 2 years, and Senator terms are 6 years. Okay, so we'll say this. We'll say at max you should be able to do, we'll say 4 terms as a House member and maybe 2 terms as a senator. And if you do both, then that's a solid 20 years and you get your pension. Okay, say you do 4 terms as a House member, so that's 8 years, and then you do 2 6-year terms as a senator after that for the same state, or you could pull a Hillary Clinton and buy property in another state and run there because you own a house in there, even though you've never lived there. But other people have done this too. I think, the guy who lost to Obama in his second term, I can't remember his name, he did that too. He went to Colorado and ran for office there. I think it was Colorado. But yeah, no, there should be, no one should be allowed to be, and then you can make a run for president, and then that. But no one should be able to be in federal office for more than 20 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's multi-generational. We'll say a generation is like 15 years. Stay in for 1 and some change, and then get the hell out, or go back and be a governor or something. Or vice versa, whatever.
Hey, I'm doing the right thing. And he's like, well, I don't want to. He's like, well, maybe you're listening to the wrong guys. How about we compare mailbags? Yeah. How about you look at the people that I have telling me? It just negates his point completely. It's like that we're not polling the audience.
Yeah.
He should have pulled that bag out.
Industry.
That bag of mail should have pulled the letter out and says, Dear Cigarette Santa.
Yeah. Yes, it should have been like Miracle on 34th Street. All these letters to RFK Claus. Yes. That's right. That's my ball bag.
Yeah, the senator's getting letters from bureaucrats while he's getting letters from actual doctors.
Yes. Right.
Also,
and parents.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, too. Let's assume that they're right for a second. Let's assume that let's walk through it. Lockdowns are right. Shutting down schools for over a year. Of course, shutting down business, rent forgiveness, student loan forgiveness, all of these policies. Believing that it didn't come from a lab.
Quick side thing. Critical Drinker he's even better at putting things in perspective than I am. I'm pretty good. Y'all will hopefully see that once I get more comfortable being online full time. But ever wonder what Alien would be like if the entire crew of the Nostromo were retarded children with ADHD? Well, that's what episode 5 of Alien Earth was for you. And that's spot on accurate. As much as it was my favorite episode of the show's pretty good. It's pretty good. Compared to all the alien stuff that we've gotten since Aliens, and I'm one of those few people that actually liked Alien Resurrection. Everything else that's alien involved, and then Alien vs. Predator, the first one was okay. It was okay. Romulus was not really a return to form, but it was about the same return to form that Prey was for the Predator series. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it continues at least down the path that it's on so far. Hopefully it maybe turns towards better. But we've been eating decent. It's like we ate steak for years, and then all of a sudden we got almost out of date beef, and not even that, like turkey, ground turkey, and it's well, it's probably good for you. It tastes like sadness. But anyway, I digress. Sorry.
But it came from a wet market, vaccinating young children, forcing it on pregnant women, all of these. Let's assume that they're right. Okay, so on one side, you have the left, you have these people and the bureaucrats, the experts they're referring to. On the other side, you do have plenty of experts, practicing doctors and people who are sounding the alarm at this point in time. But even if you look at these two and you say, I think they're more right, and I'm really glad that I took 18 mRNA injections, fine. You just say, okay, what's the prescribed solution? One side was allow states to do what they believe is appropriate for their state. Don't mandate a vaccine. Allow the teachers and the people who want to go back to school to go back to school. And the other side was saying, no, it's exclusively our way and the advice of only our experts or else. So even if you agree with their science, likely because you haven't looked into it, well, who is actively harming you more? I mean, what does it harm you for someone to say, hey, it's experimental, because everything right now is experimental. This is a novel virus. We're hearing good things about hydroxychloroquine. Oh, turns out ivermectin is better. We're hearing good things about perhaps using these supplements of NAD and zinc and quercetin so that it can. We're seeing some good things with patients. These are protective measures that maybe you can take.
Man, that's one thing I didn't agree with.
For crying out loud, during COVID, you had people being banned because there were medical experts online saying, I am not saying that this is a cure at all, but of course, your overall fitness is going to make you far more robust to withstanding these diseases. So exercise, eat right? If you could lose some weight, that may actually have more of an effect than even being vaccinated. If you could get your BMI in a healthy range, those people were banned. That's assuming the same level of expertise. By the way, the one group of experts who said our way or the highway were also saying that you should transition your kids. No, sorry, that you're not allowed to prevent your children from transitioning. So only one side, if you agree with them more as far as a starting off point, only one side was offering exclusively a corrosive solution. Doesn't that count for something?
How did we even get here, too? This is the group of people, the Dallas Buyers Club movie.
Yeah.
When people were dying because of of AIDS, and it was a death sentence, right? They were willing to go anywhere to try anything. And they make movies about that now, like tearjerker movies to say, see how the medical community denied people any kind of treatment. They would sign a form saying, I don't care how experimental it is, I'm going to die.
Called the right to try.
Exactly, the right to try. And now...
And that is one thing that America does better than most other countries, especially Britain. God, people have come over from Britain because we have the right to try. We have some experiment that I think it's... Or am I thinking backwards? Was it someone went to Britain? Sorry, Britain's been doing so shitty lately. I think that they did all the bad and we did all the good. I might be backwards on that, but it was one way or the other. But the right to try is very important. You have the right to try any crazy thing, so long as it won't cause you to like grow a third leg sticking out of your back or some shit.
When it comes around on COVID, you have no right to try. Right. People are still dying. I'm not kidding. People forget that when somebody went on a ventilator, we all go, oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Because that was a death sentence. They did not know how to fix you. And ventilator was like last try. They were running out of them.
And by the way, I think the right to try means you should have the right to try an mRNA injection. You should. shouldn't be an $80 billion contract with no liability whatsoever at large for companies like Pfizer and Moderna. But I think if you want to, you should have the right to try, sign that waiver, and say, I will deal with whatever ramifications come my way. I think if you have a terminal illness, I think you should be able to try any drug you want, regardless of whether it causes a tummy ache. And I'm vehemently against mandates. The left doesn't believe you have the right to try, and they're pro-mandate. That's what the right to try is. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the right to try these things, but they are. They are, and also it's anti-right to try. You know why? Because you know what happens when you have these giant, effectively no-bid government contracts to 3 pharmaceutical companies? You have less things to try because there's less competition. The incentive is a race to get the government contract. We see that all the time. It's a race to create a business model for a bailout. Right to try means everyone can bring these things to market. Now, it's not going to be considered approved. It's not going to be considered effective until it's gone through trials that are replicated. That's what RFK Jr., that's what I believe. But
that's what gave me the
if you're in a tight spot and it's showing promise and it hasn't finished that process, if you are willing to waive that liability, you can try it. We're not forcing you to try something experimental and forcing you to waive liability as they did en masse with these companies. Do you guys see it?
I definitely agree.
One side always inches closer to taking away your freedoms.
All this motion
even
seems
if
a
you
bit
agree
much, I will say,
with their LGBTQ, AIP, mRNA science. How much?
Okay, that's...
Yes, Senator, you know, this morning I got the latest numbers from CDC that 76.4% of Americans now have a chronic disease. This is stunning.
That's crazy.
When my uncle was president, it was 11%. In 1950, it was 3%. Today, it's 76.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify for military service. This is a national security issue. When my uncle was president, we spent 0 on chronic disease. Today, we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause, and it's increasing. And all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single-payer, Obamacare, or with the various ways of allocate the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Good.
This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
and I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
And okay, I'll say 2 things. One, I do love how RFK Jr. puts both parties in their place, like right there. He said the RNC's not doing it, the Republicans aren't doing it, the Democrats aren't doing it, but I'm doing it. And he said he fired both Democrats and Republicans, and I believe it. I could Google it right now, but I'm running out of time. I got to get out of here. But I love that. Second point, I love how even though he's got that horrible speech impediment, he still takes a lot less time to get to his point than I do. And I have no. Well, I mean, I do have a little bit of a stutter. That's why I do the voices. But no, he's with that speech impediment. He still is more direct with his speech than I am, which is absolutely nuts. And I should probably see some kind of pathologist.
I love it. By the way, can we pull that last bit of that clip up? Just the last bit. Who's the girl looking at? Because she's making eyes at somebody.
Oh, I don't see. Let me see.
There.
Can you rewind it? I missed that.
That's why we have to fire people.
Look at her.
CDC.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
She's looking off to his left somewhere at somebody.
This was
just
their
like
job to keep us healthy.
Thank you.
No, I think she's just looking
Look at that.
him make the. Oh, okay.
It's like one of those. It's one of those
Camera
posters
left.
that follows you. No
Yes,
matter
I was
where
just
you
thinking
go.
like a Scooby-Doo painting.
Yeah. He's like, it's time for my injection.
Okay, let's see what's going on here, and then we'll get out of
Doesn't
here.
account for obesity. What metric? Let's run that next clip that you were discussing right there. I'm seeing this for the first time.
For healthy kids.
Me too.
When have you produced the data that you relied on and that this FDA relied on to change those parameters? You did it behind closed doors.
No, the data is all public.
Now parents who decide that they do want their children to have
You're just
COVID
making
vaccine
stuff up, Senator.
I'm not
You're
making
just
stuff
making stuff up.
You know, sometimes when you make an accusation, it's kind of a confession, Mr. Kennedy. So let's just settle
That's the
this.
I am
Here's
rubber,
what's
you
gonna
are glue
happen.
defense.
To
Yeah.
Senator
Pretty much,
Warner's
yeah.
point, to the parents who are concerned all around the country, to people who want to get the COVID vaccine this fall, even if they're under 65, because the boosters have worked, there's been much less serious disease. People do not have the same level of threat and risk from COVID that they used to because of these vaccines. People who want to exercise their freedom of choice are being denied that.
No, they aren't. Everybody can get the vaccine.
Because you are citing data that you won't produce to the public.
You're just
and you
making
are
things up.
rejecting.
You're making things up to scare people, and it's a lie.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
can
think,
get
I
that.
don't, with respect, I do not think I'm the one making things
You
up.
are
Thank you,
lying
Mr. Chair.
right now.
I will tell you where she's
I
lying.
don't think I'm the one making
Okay?
things up.
The reason that people are resigning is because
course
he's
you don't.
pushing for the data to be public, and he is not barring anyone from getting the vaccine. None of those claims are true whatsoever. You want to get it? Okay, fine. Is she talking about what she means? Does she mean that if you don't throw a never-ending supply of public funding at it, that you're preventing people from getting the vaccine? That's usually what they mean. It's usually the wish list argument is how I refer to it. And then saying, hey, you're doing this behind closed doors. No, his whole push is so that things don't happen behind closed doors. That's why you have this petition. That's why the people who've done it behind closed doors no longer want him. They're trying to get him fired.
It's almost like they don't want the information that they worked on to be out there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. By the way, they may have been
It
just
really
taking
does seem that way. I will say, and this will be my last point, and then I have to get out of here. I'm sorry that I can't get through the whole video today. But no, as far as I've seen, and I've only been paying attention since George W. As far as I know, RFK Jr. is the most forthright. He has put out the most information that any person in charge of our country's health has ever done. He's stuff that was hidden, stuff that was not disclosed to the public. He has disclosed more stuff, especially about the most recent pandemic, than any other person in charge of our country's health has ever done. And like I said, while I don't agree with everything that the man says, he has some things about other vaccines that I think are important, that I definitely don't agree with. For the most part, I think he does want to do what he says. I think he wants to make sure that we're healthy, that we don't have, because he's already banned a lot of stuff from our food. If you look at like cereals or especially kids' food, you'll see that we used to complain. Well, parents used to complain in the 90s and early 2000s that there was sugar at all in all kids' food. Everything was just packed with sugar. They just stuffed us with sugar, shook us up a bunch, and sent us off to school for our teachers to deal with. Nowadays, we don't even have sugar. It's all high fructose corn syrup. And most of the foods that we had, especially kids' foods, again, when we in the 90s, like go back and look if you can find an old box or something from that time. There's like 5 ingredients tops. Most of the things are like 3, maybe 4. Nowadays, the ingredients go on for it's like a mile long of mostly words that you don't know what it is. And the yellow dyes especially, or the dyes especially, they just call them yellow 5 and all this other stuff. I mean, I know people my age at least heard that yellow dye number 5 causes you to not be able to have kids. And I know a lot of people who used to chug Mountain Dew just for that fact. Not me, of course, but no, but it's completely insane. And he's at least going to get back to that point to where we only have 4 or 5 ingredients in our foods. You know, stuff that's actually food, and not stuff that's gonna, slowly degrade us and turn us into the future from the Pixar movie WALL-E. Just a bunch of fat asses with thumbs. Then we have robots to come and wipe when we make Boom Boom. But that's all for me this morning. I just want to appreciate everyone for coming through here. We had a nice turnout today. I don't know how it's split between the different streaming sites, but I appreciate everyone for coming here, especially those who know me in my personal life. But no, it's been great. I promise I'm going to start doing better. I'm going to start actually writing these and prepping these. But since I'm doing stuff that happened yesterday or over the weekend or the day before, a lot of it's flying by the seat of my pants. I apologize. Untreated ADHD and a bunch of other stuff to make me a bit addle-brained. But I promise I'm working on it. I'm changing my diet and all this stuff to help me focus. And I've been writing a lot more. So you'll see these shows slowly start to become more to where you can actually understand what I'm saying, hopefully. But all that's in the future. I've got a few other things that I'm working on. I'm pushing back a couple of things that I've announced a week or two, just because, again, I'm a bit addle-brained. I apologize. But I will get to it. I promise. I have it written down. I'm going to get it done. I've got some of it written out already. But we're still going to do the how to save the MCU and how to save Star Wars and all that stuff on one of the Saturday shows. I'll probably get to that probably in October. I just want to make sure that I at least get it to where it's some kind of actual thought and not just me coming over here yelling at the microphone with some stuff that I wrote down. I want it to have some kind of actual connective tissue to where we are now and where we can go to make those things better, in my opinion at least. And feel free to shame me and destroy me in the comments because I could use the activity. Thank you. But that being said, y'all be good. Just remember, who cares if people don't like you, because they're probably